Kurdish President Masoud Barzani is delivering a speech in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Respectable brothers and sisters, thanks to all of you. The people of Erbil, the defeater of Hulagu. I am aware that you have been standing in this heat for a few hours and waiting. But at the end, it's all worth it. I know that Erbil is Erbil. We are gathered here in the capital of the Kurdistan region to say in one voice and in the name of the people of Kurdistan, yes to independence. Many people may ask the question why the Kurdish people have decided to hold a referendum. It has been a number of years since we reached the conclusion that we can no longer live with Baghdad. We tried a lot with every party. The Iraqi constitution was rendered worthless. And the constitution itself stipulates that abiding by this constitution will guarantee the unity of Iraq, which means a willful coexistence. After 2003, we all knew that it was a new opportunity for Iraq and in order to rebuild a new Iraq. And the people of Kurdistan played a major role. We thought back then that the destruction of 4,500 Kurdish villages and disappearing 12,000 Faili Kurds and 8,000 Barzanis and 182,000 people in the Anfal campaign of 1988 and the chemical attack on Halabja and the rest of the Kurdistan region, we thought that all of these catastrophes and disasters will wake up and stir the conscience of the international community, and the new government in Baghdad will make up for all of these tragedies. But unfortunately, very soon we realized that many of those who are in power in Iraq today, not all of them, but most of them, only their faces have changed. Otherwise, they carry the same mentality of mass killings and Anfal. from 2003 until 2005, after Iraq's new constitution was written, despite all of its flaws, the people of the Kurdistan region accepted it and rescued it by voting for it. We agreed to the constitution. It was Baghdad that violated the constitution, violated partnership, violated the constitution, violated Article 140 of the constitution. Iraq was obliged to send, according to the constitution, arms and ammunitions for the Kurds, but they did not send a single bullet. They froze our budget as well, which was in some ways another Anfal committed against the Kurdistan region. Iraq was supposed to become a civilized, pluralistic, democratic country. But here I ask everyone, is there a democratic, pluralistic, and civilized country ruling in Iraq, or a sectarian state? Until today, when brave Kurdish Peshmergas were in utmost hardship and a fierce fight against the ISIS terrorists, and if we ever were to receive one single bullet for the Peshmerga, we had to go through Baghdad, and Baghdad had to agree to it, otherwise we wouldn't get it. That's what we have been going through with Baghdad. When we started talking about the referendum on June 7th, when we decided that, we had talked about it many times before between different political parties, and we told them to take it seriously, that we had had enough, that our patience had run out. We could not continue the way that we were going, but they did not take it seriously. Most of them thought that it was only a trump card, until it reached a point and they were saying that your whole talk of referendum is a way to get out of your local crisis. But when on June 7th we decided on holding a referendum, which was a serious patriotic decision, for which I thank all the Kurdish political parties and groups once again for making that decision, only then did domestic Iraqi and international parties, those parties thought that we have internal rivalries and we ourselves will lead it to failure. That's why they did not take it seriously once again. But the day that the decision was made, the same people who are complaining or threatening us, they did not come us and ask us why we were doing that, why, if there was an alternative or a solution. Instead, they started issuing threats. Instead, they started asking to cancel the referendum. And now the referendum is not in my hand or in the political parties. It is in your hands. In the past, the position of the international community was soft, and it's strange to me that even until now, no one says that we are against a referendum. They are only saying the timing is not right. But we don't really know when that right timing or when the lucky day is for the Kurds. They have been saying that for 100 years. And Baghdad was encouraged by the position of the outside world. Otherwise, in the past, like one of these days, we went ahead of a high delegation to Baghdad, and their reaction was much softer than it is now. And now this process is not in the hands of people, personalities or parties, it's in the hands of people. So therefore, they are asking us day and night to postpone the referendum. The pressure is mounting and continuing. And they are telling us to postpone the referendum and then start an open dialogue with Baghdad. And we are not going back to a failed experience. This is a speech coming by Masoud Barzani, President of the Kurdistan Region, coming to you live on Rudao. And we tell you and everyone that we are ready for serious negotiations with clean hearts, good intention, without preconditions, but after September 25th. It's too late. Too late to listen to that kind of talk. Despite all of these attempts, I want to stress one thing, to say one thing to my own God and to you all, that I am not the person to embarrass myself in front of my own people. If no one is willing to take seriously the desire of our people, who ask peacefully and in a civilized way that they don't want more than voting for their own future, they are not willing to give us that right. The more I think about it, I wonder why they do not accept that. And in my opinion, the only reason is that they want to break the will and the dignity of us. Otherwise, there is no other reason. What is the guilt in a people asking for independence? You cannot even say that. The referendum is not to draw borders. This referendum is not to impose status quo. It is the first step for a people who want to be independent. Our demand, our will to Baghdad and the international community is that after September 25th, we ask them to come and have serious negotiations on the border, on different territories, on oil and gas and water, and on everything else. But they must tell us now and in the future. If they tell us now that neither now or in the future your demands are not accepted, and go back to the green line, and the green line is the old line of contact between the Peshmerga and the regime of Saddam Hussein. It means going back to Kushtapa so that whenever they want they could shell Erbil. Neither the referendum will mark the borders of the Kurdistan region, nor is it acceptable for any day or for 1 minute. We will not negotiate the borders of the Kurdistan region based on the green line that they mention. We are ready, and we will continue seriously to fully cooperate with the Iraqi army, with the coalition forces against ISIS terrorists. And here I thank the coalition forces. When during our war with ISIS they helped us. Hardship and suffering of our people is a long story. From the day the modern state of Iraq was established, we have been saying, we are brothers, let us be brothers, let us be partners. Where in the world have you seen a people who have lost 182,000 people, most of them women and children, disappeared? Their young men of Barzani's and Failis taken to Akashat and Qa'im and exposed to chemical experiments. Where in the world is there a state to annihilate its own people with chemical weapons, and then for us to go back to them and say we are brothers and extend a hand of friendship, and they tell us, go to hell and you are taking our sustenance? The war of ISIS until today have lost 1,789 brave Peshmerga. 10,900 Peshmerga have been wounded, and most of them can no longer live a normal life. They have been completely crippled. They are the same as having been martyred. Most of our friends from the outside who came here and visited us, they would praise the Peshmerga and their bravery. And it's a fact. What the Peshmerga did, I challenge any army in the world to be able to do what the Peshmerga did with the type of weapons they had. Where are the tanks that they gave us? Where are the armored vehicles they gave us? Where are the long-range artillery they gave us? Whatever we had was what we had taken from Saddam's army years ago, and it was old and decrepit. But the Peshmerga still broke the myth of ISIS with these weapons. We are faithful people. So I say once again that we thank the coalition forces for their help, but it was us who sacrificed with our blood. Yes, they were praising the Peshmerga a lot, but now they do not accept that for the people of the martyrs who died in fighting ISIS and the relatives of the Anfal campaign and the chemical attack and the Failis and Barzanis and all the people of Kurdistan, they do not accept for these relatives to say that they want to be independence alone. Let them express their opinion, and then they might perpetrate another Anfal. But here I must say, in 2005, US President George W. Bush came to Anbar province of Iraq, and they asked, and I went there. All Iraqi leaders were at that gathering. When President Bush was talking, he looked at me and said, "We, the people of Texas, and you, the people of Kurdistan, are similar. We are both brave. We have oil. We have our flag. We are men. But we are both wise. We saw if we were with Washington, we would be stronger. And you saw that if you were with Baghdad, you would be stronger." And I told him, "Mr. President, what Baghdad has done to us, if Washington had done that to Texas, you would have never gone to Washington." Yes, we went back to Baghdad. But now they have created a culture when they approach elections, whichever one of them insults Kurdistan more, threats Kurdistan more, denies the rights of Kurdistan more, will gain more votes. How could you live with such a society? From 2003, whatever they said to us, we said yes. And they made many promises. They did not keep any of those promises. And everything worked out badly for us. And now the more delay, the worse it becomes for us. Therefore, the sooner, with your support, on 25th of September, go to the polling stations. Decide your own fate. Whoever is with this, these are the ballot boxes, and whoever is afraid should not go and stay away. The statement of the UN Security Council that they are concerned that the focus on the war against ISIS will be taken away and that the refugees and IDPs will not be able to go home. But here I say, on behalf of the Peshmerga and the people of Kurdistan, I tell the UN Security Council that I reiterate and I stress that we will be more committed to the war against ISIS, even stronger than before. And regarding the IDPs and refugees in Kurdistan, they are our brothers, they are our guests. And my advice to all of you is that to respect them and defend them and protect them. The problem of the refugees is not in Kurdistan, it's in Fallujah, in Tikrit, in Baghdad. Going back there is the issue. We have no problem with them. For 25 years has not been enough for our neighbors to know that we are not a threat to them. Why not sit down together and put aside all the problems and solve them? Why do they speak with us in the language of threats? Many ask that if you ask for independence, there will be a risk. But if you sit down and wait and see what happens, or for others to decide for you, that risk is death. It's 100 times riskier and more dangerous than for you to decide for yourself. Our future system will be in a way that the rich heritage and culture of Kurdistan will be even richer. It will be the state for all the ethnic and religious communities in Kurdistan. It will be a federal democratic parliamentary state which will respect and honor the right of everyone. And here I would like to refer to the role of the brave Peshmerga. Heroic Peshmerga, those who were martyred and those who have been wounded and those who are in the trenches on the front lines with their fingers on the triggers to enable us to gather freely on occasions like this. I am sure those heroes, how in 1961 until now, have not let Kurdistan to fall under the hands of the enemy. And if Kurdistan was briefly under enemy hands, they never let the enemy to rest here for a moment. And I am sure now and in the future, the heroic Peshmerga will never let Kurdistan fall to the enemy again. Heroism of Peshmerga and the resilience of you, the people of Kurdistan, is stronger than any force. And for the independence of Kurdistan, we must be ready to pay any price. We are crossroads, either a life of subjugation or a life of freedom. The price of a subjugated life is losing dignity. You could still live, but the price for dignity, for honor, and for freedom and independence is heavy. But you could lose your life too. Recent days, or you have heard different kinds of threats that they will punish us. And my answer is, for 100 years, you have been punishing the people of the Kurdistan region. Haven't you had enough? Have you not had enough of punishing the people of Kurdistan? You like going back to punishing and making punishments, leave the people of Kurdistan alone and come and punish me alone. Speech by Kurdish President Masoud Barzani. I thank all the political parties and groups for all this excitement and enthusiasm and patriotic feeling. I also thank the people of Kurdistan. You made this referendum possible. In the end, I send salute and greetings to the clean soul of the martyrs and to the heroic Peshmergas and to the people of Kurdistan. And long live to all of you. And I say once again, we are honored here, and say once again, Erbil is Erbil. That was a speech by Masoud Barzani, President of the Kurdistan Region, addressing 10,000 people, at least 10,000 people gathered at Erbil's International Stadium, and millions of Kurds watching the rally live on Rudao TV and across the world. This is one of the major rallies for independence in support of Monday's referendum.
كركوك اگر دوێنێ بۆ سەرگڕی باوە گوڕگوڕ بە گوڕ هات بم بەڵام بۆ بەرەبەیانی ڕزگاریت سوێند دەدەم کەرکووک تۆ و مەرقەدەکەی پێغەمبەر دانیالت تۆ و شەپۆڵەکانی ڕووباری خاست تۆ و عودەکەی عەلی مەردانت تۆ و فرمێسکەکانی شۆریجەت لە بەرەبەیانی سەرفرازی پەت و قەنارە و هەڵواسین